So, hello, everybody. This is the Self Worth Talks. I'm Suzanne McCall, and I have invited a really wonderful leader for women today to help us talk about self worth and money and finances and how they're connected. So, Dr. Kelly Schuh, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So, you are a worth and wealth alchemist.
Mhm.
And I know you work with women and entrepreneurs. So excited to hear your knowledge about all that. So before we start talking about what you're doing, I always love to have people share their journey. So because to see somebody who's successful and then to know that they had a journey too, I think is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
They say
yeah,
success doesn't happen overnight, right? We see
it,
these what looks like overnight success, but there's always a journey. There's
there's
always,
always a journey.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
So I
what
would
is
love to.
yours?
Yeah. I will attempt to be succinct. So my journey really began in business as a chiropractor, right? That's where the doctor
Mhm.
comes from.
Okay.
And so I had a successful chiropractic business, and we were wanting to start our family. So my husband and I got pregnant and ended up having a condition. And this condition, I describe it as morning sickness on steroids. And
Mhm.
it was not, that part of it was not fun. It was really, really, really challenging. So there was this day that I'll never forget, and I'm literally looking down a toilet bowl because I was getting sick probably for the 15th time that day. And when there's a little sign that says church. Who would have thought, right? Thinking that you're at church. And I had this great awakening that I had sent all of my patients to a colleague of mine because I couldn't serve them because I was sick.
Mhm.
And the great awakening is I wanted to be able to serve more people. And I knew that even with a full-time practice, seeing as many patients as I could in a given day, I could never reach the number of people that my heart wanted to impact. And so
Mhm.
that was a real turning point for me. And there was this thing called the internet back then. So we're back in 2009.
Whoa.
And And so I thought, well, there is another way. And even though I loved my profession, I wanted to explore what that looked like. So fast forward, I wrote a book, became an Amazon bestseller. I created a community and created a course and did all the things on the outside. I looked successful. And 5 years in as a coach, I was broke, but not broken and ready to give up.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there was the second turning point was my coach said to me one day, she said, I don't think that you are charging enough. And she challenged me to double my rates. And my stomach got queasy and I felt nauseous and I thought she was crazy. But at that point in time, what else did I have to try? And so I did. I did and made that decision. And that was the year I tripled my business. And that's not the
Wow.
most important thing. The most important thing in this journey is who I became as a woman. And so this is now what I teach women is I had to become the CEO of my dreams and really embody it. So it became a deep investigation in that year of what does a six-figure CEO look like so that I could take it from 50,000 a year to 150 in a period of time. So it was the inner work. It was the inner work and my relationship to money and my worth and all the things. So that's how I find myself here today serving women.
Wow. That is such a great story. And I'm so about the inner work and how that's how you manifest everything. It's so interesting also, and I think a lot of people have this same challenge of, you think you're going in one direction
Yeah.
and, you do everything. You do all the coursework, the credentials, everything, develop the business, and then you keep kind of going and going and it may not be working, and that's
Yeah.
really I think a sign that you have to shift,
Absolutely.
and we don't always
Absolutely.
know that.
Yeah, we don't. And I think that we often look outside of ourselves. Like everybody else has all the answers, and we look for the next expert, the next expert, the next expert, and it's exhausting. And I'm here to share with women the women that I'm here to serve. They've done a lot of work. They've done a lot of personal growth and development. And there can be misalignments with like their truth, like what do they really want, and what is their intuition saying that they should do that they're not listening to. And so I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
big component too, like building the business that's meant for you and that's aligned with you. not what you think you should do. Does that make sense?
Exact. Oh yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
we all spend our time and our energy focusing on what it is we think we should be doing.
Yeah.
What does success look like and it's really from what we've been taught and learned from our family or society, but it's not necessarily in alignment. How do you help people
Absolutely.
with that? What do you do? I mean, because I think it's a hard one.
Yeah, I love how you brought the word alignment in. It's one of my favorite words on the planet, especially as a chiropractor.
Oh yeah. That's
So
interesting.
yeah,
You
so
started out with alignment with
yes,
chiropractic
yep,
and it
I sure did.
evolved.
It did evolve, and I'm still doing alignment. So it used to be aligning women's spines, and now I align them with their self-worth
That's
so that they can
amazing.
quantum leap their well. So what does that look like? Because it can seem
Yes.
very like, how does she do that? So one of the things that we do is we actually create a blueprint. It's called the worthiness triad. And the worthiness triad is really a blueprint of like, okay, who would a woman, we get really curious and really creative, and we use a different part of our brain to really uncover who do you want to be? Because it's from the beingness that everything comes from and everything stems from. So that's one of the first exercises that we do. I also use human design, which is a collaboration of 4 different ancient wisdoms, wisdom traditions. It has astrology in it. It has the Kabbalah. It has the I Ching. It has the energy systems of the Hindu energy systems. So that's the second kind of blueprint of like, how are you specifically designed to do success? And what are your unique gifts that no one else on the planet has? Right. And so when women start to see that, they start to anchor in a new level of confidence.
Mhm.
And then we pair that with I've been blessed that I can read energy. I can see energy. And so I do energy clearings, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes our woman will be saying something, but there's a mismatch with what her body's telling me, what her energy is telling me. And so I tell women, TWW, the woo works, right? And research is showing now, I mean, shamanic journeys and meditation, all the things that traditional science hasn't supported, we're now seeing those findings that this stuff does work. And so I use a combination of more what I would say masculine business practices of like, okay, the ABC, but the majority of my work is about energy and alignment and really finding out uniquely how a woman does success and then reflecting that back to her.
Wow. It's so powerful. You got to do some
Thank
clearings
you.
with me. What's my
I would
energy? No.
love to.
Um, so what do you like? What kinds of women come and talk to you? Like, what are they? Are they people who are running their own businesses, or what's going on? Who do you work with?
Who do I serve?
Yeah.
So the majority, as I said, the majority of these women, they've done a lot of personal growth and development, right? So they've been around the block for a while. So they tend to be age-wise, 40s, 50s, 60s. This is not their first rodeo. They might
Hmm.
actually be leaving corporate and wanting to do something new. But most of the women are pretty seasoned business women, and they find themselves at a financial ceiling and they can't seem to break through, or a ceiling around feeling fulfilled, right? And they know they need to redefine success because maybe they've lost the relationship, or their connection to their family or their friends. So really that ideal woman is she knows there's something more for her.
Hmm.
And she does lean into the woo. She's open. She does things like meditation and yoga. And so that's not so scary for her. So when I give her, for example, maybe a meditation specific to her, like that's normal for her,
Hmm.
right?
She's totally
Um,
open,
she's
embraces it.
totally open to that. She's
Yeah. Yeah.
embraces that. And what I'm finding is my practice is expanding. I mean, I have all kinds of women. There are some women in corporate and and it's interesting because it used to be that I just served women in business and already in business, but I'm just seeing it expand as the community grows and as we really I realize empowered women need to be both in corporate and doing their businesses. So that's
Hmm.
that's kind of what's evolved in the process.
I love that. And I love that you kind of expand to be able to help people who are in corporate and don't mind being in corporate and want to find their way.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like each person shifting their own energy and their way of seeing the world can have an impact on corporate culture.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
Yes. And I
so
think
you, yeah,
corporate culture, I mean, we need a change, and we're seeing it, a lot of it crumbling, and people aren't happy. And for example, if you look at the who's in the boardroom, it's still male dominated. It
yeah,
really is. And we're still making 78 cents on the dollar. Like women, especially in the financial sector, I work with some advisors, and they said, it's not uncommon for me to be the only woman in the room. And I don't know how to really have a voice without doing it their way, a more masculine way. So helping these women find, that they can lean into their gifts of collaboration and connection and team building. And, these are energies. Like it's really easy to say it's the feminine energy, the masculine energy. I'm just kind of talking about like the old way business has been done, and there needs to be a new way. And many women have those resources and they don't know necessarily how to use them, and to be acknowledged, to be
yeah,
acknowledged.
yeah. And it's really time. It's the time. I mean, all the research now is showing that it's those what you call feminine qualities or traits of being able to collaborate and connect are what is going to make your company more sustainable. And I think for like men are struggling because they don't know how to be that
Yeah.
way. So it's like
Yeah.
both men and women need to really learn to expand their sense of who they are and value who they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, we need the divine masculine and we need the divine feminine, and we need to make changes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's more of it's a global thing. We're realizing we don't have just America and France and Australia. Like we are realizing that global impact. And so for me, it is a more, as a thought leader, it really is about these are qualities that we need to readjust the planet and where we're going. And, a new kind of leadership is so
Mhm.
needed on the planet.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you about the back to the idea of money and
Yes.
worth.
Yes.
What do you notice when it comes to with women, like about their belief about themselves being able to have a certain amount of money? Like what are you seeing?
Yeah. What I'm seeing is, first of all, I like to bring to the attention that women historically haven't been the ones that are have been able to have the money. Right. And what I mean by that, in America, particularly, it wasn't into the 70s that a woman could have her own bank account without having a husband or a brother or an uncle sign for it. So I think that as a gender, our relationship to money is quite new in terms of our freedom
Hmm.
to acquire it and invest in it and all of that. And taboo, money, talking about money used to be taboo. Right.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I think that we're really healing and discovering what is our relationship to money that doesn't look like the old way, which is the
Hmm.
old way is more around there isn't enough. There isn't
Yeah.
enough. And to prove your worth, you got to make more money than the next person, right? And
Hmm.
so I think that we're healing some what I would call ancestral energy around money, and how women, we used to be our quote worth, and still in some parts of the country our worth was determined by our fertility. Could we bear children,
Right.
and could we keep a happy healthy home? And since the empowerment of women, we've gone out into the workforce and we've shown, yeah, we can do it. And now the next level is like, okay, but what do we want? What do we
Mm.
really want? And so what does that look like? And so the relationship to money and worth is that if a woman doesn't feel worthy of money, she won't be able to keep it and save it and have pleasure from it. So there are women, for example, I remember working with a woman, and she had a trade. She was in the she did trades, and she had acquired, I think, like $1 million in a day, like something like you're like, oh my gosh,
Wow.
right? And yet she was still acting from the woman from the previous 5 years. And this had been going on for a while. She was doing very well financially, but she was still acting like the woman on food stamps,
Oh, wow.
right? Like she wasn't
Yeah.
giving herself permission to access those
Hmm.
resources. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I believe that there's a strong relationship to money and worth,
Yeah.
and healing it, because your bank account isn't a reflection of your worth, you know?
No.
And at the same time, if you're struggling financially, most likely there's a worthiness thing going on there.
Mm. Yeah. That's so interesting because I know people also who, have plenty of money, but they don't like what people do with their money is just so much about how they feel about themselves. And I love
Yeah.
that idea of it's more ancestral and that we are still trying to heal from all the beliefs about not being worthy,
Yeah,
that our cultural traditions have created.
absolutely.
So like,
Absolutely. And I
yeah.
believe I created something called the 11 Laws to Living the Limitless. And these 11 laws, one of the laws is abundance is your birthright. And I
Mm,
really truly believe that. And it's like women will say, well, why, I don't know. Am I worthy? Like, how do you know I'm worthy? I'm like, you're worthy because you were born.
right.
You're enough,
Yeah, you
right?
are
That
worthy.
you're enough. You are
Yeah.
worthy. I mean, when we're born into the world as a baby, that baby has a lot of needs, and they don't sit there crying, go, am I worthy? Like that's the energy that I often bring women back. You're worthy because you're worthy because you're worthy.
Mm-hmm. End of story.
End of
Love
story.
that. Yeah.
Drop the mic,
Yeah.
right?
What's another
Yeah.
one of the 11 laws?
So let's see. Let's see, on the spot. Yeah. So where two or more are gathered. So very biblical.
Ah,
Right. And so one of the things that I think is incredibly important is for a woman to be in a community of women that are going to support them, women that have visions, and they want to support one another. So that is the sisterhood. So when we gather, not only do we want to support you in what you want, but the collective of the sisterhood wants what you want. And so we really leverage
mm,
that. I have a course called the Abundance Unleashed course. And part of that is getting clear on what do you want, and then taking the time to pray for your sisters and what they want. So where
mm.
two or more are gathered, we really amplify the energetic field of possibilities.
Oh, I love that. And is that now, so how can people work with you if they want to? Is that one of the courses you do? Or I know you do something on, is it Tuesday nights or
I do. Happy hour.
happy hour? I
Yes.
love that.
Yes,
Yeah.
prosperity happy hour. We
Uh-huh.
gather as a community the first and third Tuesdays of the month, and it's an opportunity to connect and talk about money and worth, and in a very healing place. Sometimes I will do healing on the call. Sometimes we'll have a topic like this past Tuesday was amazing. We talked about bending time, and that time is an illusion. And really, we workshopped it together. So it's like I'm the facilitator, but we use that mind hive energy of like every woman can
Mhm.
contribute to the women that gather, and talk about the things that really can make a difference in feeling wealthy again and getting back on track. So we have a topic for each week, and then we jump right in and whatever's needed. And it's free. It's free. It's community building. It's support.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And
Yeah.
do other, in addition to that, do you work with people individually? Do you have group masterminds? What else do
I
you
do.
have going on?
I do. So right now we just launched our Living the Limitless immersion. It's a 9-month immersion. And so I'm working with women in the next 9 months. And so that's the current group program that we're in.
Mhm.
And then I do work with women one-on-one. And so generally that first step is to just apply for a prosperity breakthrough call. And a woman can go to, actually, we have a money quiz. It's a money quiz and it's
Oh,
free. That's really
wow.
fun, right?
That's
So
fun.
it is, it is. And so if you go to drkellyschuh.com, and now in this moment, I'm like, is it /wealth quiz? But it's right there on the front
It's,
page.
yeah,
It's
we'll
right
put it in
there.
the show notes too.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
click it, because you know what? You don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So that's a great way to just assess where you are with your money blocks.
Yeah.
And so taking that quiz, and then yeah, I would love to explore. You can there on the website, you can also apply for a prosperity breakthrough call. And we just jump in and get, really clear of like what's going on for you and how can I support you?
That sounds wonderful. Yeah. So is there, these are great, and I hope people will reach out and really take advantage of this because it's life changing, I think, when people must break through stuff like that. But is there anything that you can leave us with, like to do, like when we're
Yes,
on our own and we're trying to understand our money blocks more, for example?
absolutely. Absolutely. So I would say the number one challenge that most women have that come to me is they're challenged by receiving. They're really good at giving. These are like heart-centered women that are great at give, 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 and they're not so great at receiving. So we want to build that receiving muscle. And
Mhm.
so the a very easy exercise is to start receiving simple things like a compliment
Oh,
and noticing how when someone gives you a compliment, are you quick to give a compliment back? Are you uncomfortable? Right? Like, do you really receive the gift of a compliment? And so that's like the baby step is practicing receiving because most women are repelling the universe supporting them.
okay.
So that is one way to practice and start building this receiving muscle is start with like practicing receiving compliments and being in gratitude. So when you get the random check in the mail that you had forgotten about, like to really be in deep gratitude. So gratitude is something that we know begins to open the heart and open up the channels to receive more, and then
Mhm.
also being really conscious of yeah, when you're receiving something, are you really landing in it? Do you really receive it, or do you repel it and push it back?
Okay. Wow. Those are two great tips. I'm going to work on those, and I hope everybody else does who's watching. And
Yes.
thank you so much, Kelly, for coming. And I, look forward to continuing to working with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. What a joy.
My pleasure. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.